This is your AEW Dynamite Review Fighter Fest Night 1 here for Wednesday, July 14, 2021. I am the Solomonster. They were in Austin, Texas tonight, and if I can say so, God bless Texas, because that crowd was fucking fantastic all throughout the night. You just love to see. You love to see that loud crowd, just all that energy and enthusiasm. They were hot for everything all night. God bless Texas. And this was one of, in my opinion, the best episodes of Dynamite that AEW has ever produced. Top to bottom, this may be possibly my favorite episode of Dynamite that I've ever seen. This show was a home run. They should be very happy with how things turned out on this show tonight from top to bottom. I was very impressed by the show tonight. And the crowd had a lot to do with that. You know, look, when the crowd is up, it makes the show feel more special. It wasn't just about the crowd, though. The matches, but the main event was, not a long main event, but pretty wild for what it was. It was Darby Allin in a gimmick match. You knew what you were getting going in, and it was pretty crazy. The guy, took some abuse there in that main event. But we had the Coffin match in the main event. We had Jon Moxley defending the IWGP United States Championship on this show. Huge reaction. Moxley's first appearance in many, many weeks. And the crowd was very happy to see him. Crowd was very happy to see Sting. An unannounced Sting appearance in the main event. We'll go through everything on this show, but the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway, I think, from tonight's show, it was a great night for Tony Schiavone's microphone. Did you notice that? Did you notice that Tony Schiavone, in all the interviews in the ring that he did tonight, he had about 2 or 3, different ones, plus the backstage interviews, it was not hijacked. Nobody hijacked the microphone out of Tony Schiavone's hand. I think that was the biggest swerve of the entire show. Tony may have we had somebody in the chat last week who suggested that perhaps he should superglue the microphone to his hand. I'm wondering if maybe that's what he did. He superglued that thing right to his hand. Nobody could pull that thing out, literally try to pry it from his, well, not dead fingers, but his cold dead fingers. They couldn't do it. So congrats to Tony Schiavone, held onto his microphone tonight. I got my microphone here. I'm ready to go. Hit that like button. If you have super chats to send in, now is the time to do it. And I do thank you if you support the channel in that way. I will read each and every single message that you guys send me here on the air a little bit later on. So if you've got comments about tonight's show, I want to hear from you. If you've got questions, I want to hear from you. So go ahead and send those on in. And before we get into the full review, as people filter on in, by the way, I should mention here, later on, I will run the Twitter poll results as I do every week. You can vote on Twitter right now at Solomonster, but you'll notice there's a new feature here for YouTube live streams that I believe they only first rolled out today. You can vote in the poll right now live in the chat. We have a YouTube poll running concurrently with the Twitter poll, so if you're in the chat, you see it, there it is, the box right on top. Go ahead and vote. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What did you think of tonight's show? See, we got polls everywhere, man. We got polls everywhere, bro. We got polls on Twitter, bro. We got polls on YouTube, bro. I got a poll outside my house here. We got polls next door. People hanging out their clothes to dry. We got polls everywhere. So go ahead and vote. Make your voice heard. But before we get into tonight's review, I have something very cool that I wanted to run. I know some of you, at least, if not a lot of you, are going to have a lot of interest in this. But there is a contest. That map that you see right there is very important, because this map is tied into an upcoming AEW event. Instead of letting you guess what it is, I'll just tell you that this is the WrestleRumble.com all-out giveaway contest. Now, my question to you, were you shut out of AEW all-out tickets last week? Because the event sold out pretty quick. And while the event might be sold out, I've got some good news for you, because Wrestle Rumble is giving you and a guest a chance to attend All Out in Chicago. Go to WrestleRumble.com right now. You can enter for just $1 to have a chance to win 2 tickets, 2 damn good tickets too, I must say. I'm jealous. In section 116, row 2, which is this map here that I had shown you before. Take a look at that. And you see where the ring is going to be? You see where the entranceway is going to be? Section 116, dead center. It's the first, I believe it's the first level up from the floor. And these are in the second row. So you're going to have a damn good view. You're not going to have your view obstructed unless fucking Omos is sitting in the first row right in front of you. Which I don't think you will be. I certainly hope not. But you can sit with the Wrestle Rumble crew. And even better, you get food and drinks on the house. You can't beat that. I'm going to be picking one winner at random live during my AEW Dynamite stream next Wednesday. So go to WrestleRumble.com to enter. And then it's very simple. Watch Solomonster and find out if you're a winner. You come back here next Wednesday. We're going to pick a winner. It could be you. You could be going to Chicago or Hoffman Estates. People get a little picky when I say Chicago. It's like a suburb of Chicago. We call it Chicago. They call it Chicago. I call it Chicago. But I want to send one of you guys out there for All Out. Maybe you can be my roving correspondent. But thank you for WrestleRumble.com letting us do this giveaway here. It's very cool. And with that out of the way, let's get into tonight's events on Dynamite. Again, I was very happy with this episode. I was never bored. There was one match later in the show, the weakest match on the entire show. I'll let you guys figure out what I thought it was. We'll talk about that as well. Hey, Mr. J. Mr. J, an original project in the chat with the exclamation point. I see you. What is up? What's going on? Brandon Jack, look at that comment. Brandon Jack kissing ass here tonight. I appreciate that. He says, I'm already a winner when I am watching Solomonster. It's very nice of you to say that. Very nice of you to say. But we open with the return of Jon Moxley. We have not seen Jon Moxley since the injury angle they did with him, taking all of those BTE triggers at the hands of the Young Bucks back at Revolution. He's out to Wild Thing to defend his IWGP United States Championship against Karl Anderson, who used to be a mainstay in New Japan, so he certainly has a history there. Huge reaction for Moxley. He was accompanied to the ring by Eddie Kingston. He went up into the crowd. You could see Moxley soaking it all up because this is the first time he's been able to perform in front of a live crowd of this size since before the pandemic. You know, he wasn't on the show last week, so this was his chance to get out amongst the people. And not just at Daly's place, but get out amongst the crowd of, I don't know how many people were in the building tonight. These are not big buildings that they're running. These are relatively small buildings that they booked for their first, several shows. But they pack them in. So on television, it looks really good. But if I had to venture a guess, I would say you maybe had, 4,000 you figure? Maybe 5? Probably in that 4,000 or 5,000 range in the building, but it looked packed. If it wasn't packed, they did a good job of spreading people out and making those seats look full. So Moxley was soaking it all in. People were going nuts for him the entire match. Eddie Kingston attacked Gallows with a pipe early on. They brawled into the crowd. We never saw them again for the rest of this match. We did see Gallows. He came out in a segment later on, but as far as this match here, we never saw them again. They exchanged forearms in the center of the ring. Anderson looked to try to get the advantage. Moxley fired up, clotheslined him out to the floor. Anderson was sent into the barricade. He blocked a suplex on the ramp, hit one on Moxley instead. And then back in the ring, Anderson hit a gun stun over the ropes. He booted Moxley back out to the floor. Anderson hit a spine buster, though, back in the ring for a near fall. So they fought up to the top rope. Moxley hit a superplex, hit a German. Anderson hit a big boot. Moxley came back with a clothesline. They did the spot where you hit simultaneous clotheslines. Both men go down. Anderson ends up hitting an air raid crash for a near fall. So he hits a diving neck breaker for another near fall on Moxley. Fights out of a paradigm shift. Hits a gun stun, but he couldn't make the cover quick enough. Moxley fires up. He hulks up. Brother Jack dude. He fires up, hits clotheslines in the corner. Anderson catches him with a fireman's carry into a gun stun for a near fall. And Moxley counters a top rope gun stun with a ripcord lariat. Hits the paradigm shift. Not the prettiest paradigm shift, but it got the job done. He retains the IWGP United States Championship. Hot opener. Nothing fancy. Not too long. Didn't overstay its welcome. This was exactly what it needed to be. The crowd was very happy to see Jon Moxley back. Moxley was happy to see them. They ate this whole thing up. So it was exactly what it needed to be. After the match was over, they cut to the back. That's right, Mr. J. Brother. You know, last week was NWO week. It was 25 years since the birth of the NWO. You can't see it, but I'm wearing the NWO colors here tonight. Got to represent. So Lance Archer was in the back with Jake Roberts. And Jake always seems like he's paranoid about something. And Archer was the calm one here. And basically told Jake to just settle down. And he pointed out that he lost the IWGP US title to Jon Moxley. If you remember, they had a match at Wrestle Kingdom. I forget which night of Wrestle Kingdom it was, but it was Wrestle Kingdom in January of last year. And they had it might have been night 2. And they had a Texas death match. And Archer lost the championship. But he pointed out that he never did get his rematch. And he says, it's time. And it is only fitting that they do it in Dallas next week, the same way they did it the last time, Texas death style. So he challenged Jon Moxley to another Texas death match for the championship on night 2 next week of Fyter Fest. Now, they had a segment later in the show in the back with Moxley where he answered the challenge. He accepted the challenge. And he ended with the line, he said that Archer won't just be Texas born and Texas bred, but after next week, he will be Texas dead. So the match is official for next week. This feels to me like a Lance Archer win. And if it's not a Lance Archer win, if it's not scheduled to be a Lance Archer win, it should be. This should be a Lance Archer championship win next week on Dynamite. There is nobody on that AEW roster off the top of my head that I can think of who I would put above Lance Archer as somebody who is just dying to be legitimized in some way. Lance Archer would be the number one guy. He is in dire need of something. Because for the longest time, they had nothing for this guy, no program, no focused program for him, no big program for a championship. You know, he had a title match against Cody that was like a year ago. But beating up people like Dan Lambert like he did last week and getting a big pop from the crowd, cheap heat, right? The guy comes out, he heals on AEW, out comes Lance Archer, and he beats the guy up. He beats up the non-wrestler who was talking shit about the company. Okay, that's nice and all for a cheap pop. But what exactly is Lance Archer doing? Nothing. At least in this case, if he has a big match on television next week, if he wins, and it wouldn't even be a company championship. So even though it's not an AEW title that he's fighting for, he needs this win in the worst way. Because if he goes to Dynamite next week and just loses, like he did in the first Texas death match with Moxley where he lost, if he goes out there next week in Texas and he loses again, I don't know what's left for this guy. Where do you go from here? You can't win an AEW title. You can't win an AEW TNT title. Now you're going to go on Dynamite next week and you can't even win an IWGP title in Texas? In your own stipulation match that you picked? This has to be a win for Lance Archer. Jon Moxley has had that championship for a lot longer than he would have were it not for COVID. He's been the champion for well over a year. And he's had some fun matches. But the time has come. So this feels like an Archer win for me, from my perspective next week. And I think it should be. Well, I see we have some super chats coming on in. I see all the colors popping up here on the chat window. We're going to get to all of your super chats, and I thank everybody who takes the time to donate It means a lot to me. Your support of the channel, whether it is Super Chats or if you become a member. I don't mention it enough, but we do have memberships open as of a few months ago on the channel. So if you want to look into becoming a channel member and getting some perks and some bonus content, you can hit that join button below. It'll give you all the information. That's all you got to do. We had Andrade El Idolo, who was in the back with Alex Abrahantes for a promo. They aired subtitles for this, even though Andrade spoke English for the majority of it. I guess even they feel his English is broken enough that they have to put subtitles on the screen even when he is speaking the language. I think that says a lot. But he says he wants Death Triangle to know that he is looking for them. That was it. He just wanted to make that clear. And then he walked off. So, Andrade against Penta? Andrade against Rey Fenix? Andrade against Pac? Hook that shit into my veins. I'm ready for it. Give me any one of those 3 matches. Sounds good to me. Let's go. I mean, I said this last week. If Andrade is going to get over it, he's going to show people, you know, what his real worth is in this company. It's not going to be on promos. It is not his strong suit. They're putting fucking subtitles on the screen when the guy speaks English. His strong suit and what will get him over, what will turn heads, what will make people go, hey, this guy is pretty fucking good, is his work in the ring. You give him good opponents, you give him good dance partners to work with on this show, that's where he's going to shine. Andrade in the ring one-on-one against Rey Fenix, Andrade against Pac. I mean, those are the kinds of matches that he needs to be having. I think he needs to rack up a few more wins first, maybe against some lower-level talent, but if that's the direction they're going in, I'm all for it. So I think that is something to get pretty excited about. We had the FTW Championship being defended. And if I remember, I think it was Excalibur on commentary who referred to the FTW title as an outlaw title. It's almost like he fell short of calling it an outlaw mud show title. I've seen the clips where Jim Cornette says, you know, people in AEW, they watch me and they pay attention to what I say, even though he says horrible things about them. And we see and hear examples of this every week on the show. So I picked up on that whole outlaw title thing. But it's true. I mean, the FTW title has never been officially recognized by any company, officially anyway, until it was resurrected here in AEW. But the title was on the line. We had Absolute Ricky Starks back in action for the first time in a few months. All healed up and cleared from the fractured neck, going one-on-one against fellow Team Taz member Brian Cage for Cage's FTW title. Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook. Still waiting to see Hook's in-ring debut on Dynamite. Did he have one yet on Dark and I missed it? I don't think Hook has really made his official debut yet. I'm very curious to see what Hook looks like. Obviously, he's still very young and I'm sure very, very green, but I would like to see what Hook can do in the ring. Maybe we will have that chance one of these days. But Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook were outside the ring. Taz sat in on commentary, and the crowd was hot for Ricky Starks, and not just because they like Ricky Starks, but obviously this was his hometown. Ricky Starks is a native of Austin, Texas, so of course he was the hometown boy. He got the big pop. He was always going to be a babyface in this match for that reason, if nothing else. Starks rolled to the floor late in the match and grabbed the title, the FTW belt. Cage, though, he drove Starks' shoulder into the ring apron. Back in the ring, Cage fought out of a rear naked choke, hit a suplex. Starks, though, got his foot on the rope. Cage went for the outside-in suplex, where he suplexes the guy into the ring. Starks countered, hit a sit-out powerbomb. So basically the old Undertaker spot he would do sometimes, where the guy's giving him the 10 punches in the corner, and he reaches up, and he gets him in the position for the last ride powerbomb. That's what Ricky did here to Brian Cage, but he only got a near fall. So Starks was about to use the FTW title. He's going to use it as a weapon. Powerhouse Hobbs stopped him from doing so. Cage then took advantage of the distraction, hit an F5 for a great near fall. It was not the best looking F5, but it was a great near fall because they had me convinced that the match was over. But he kicked out. Hook then distracted the referee, which allowed Hobbs to hit Cage in the head with his own title. He hit Cage in the head with the belt, and Ricky Starks hit a spear to win the FTW Championship. Taz on commentary sounded positively jubilant about this outcome and celebrated with Starks, Hobbs, and Hook. Tony Schiavone called it a swerve, but was it really? Was it really? Because I'm willing to bet, not just myself, but probably a lot of the people in the chat right now probably saw this coming for, quite a while. They've been teasing this for quite a while. It was really only a matter of which one of them was going to get bounced from the group. Were they going to bounce Starks for being too full of himself, or were they going to bounce Cage? I figured it would be Brian Cage, and that's exactly what happened here. So I think most of us saw that one coming, but it did not make the reaction here to the Starks win any less enjoyable. I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the big win here for Ricky Starks. Happy to see him back in action. All healed up. Now he's got to take care of himself and not take any stupid bumps. Easier said than done. Sound like an old ring veteran now. You kids need to slow down. You need to slow down the pace. Don't take any unnecessary risks. All right, Grandpa. We'll keep that in mind. Cody Rhodes came out. He made a beeline for the announce desk. And he picked up a headset and he started cutting this intense promo. Tore into Malachi Black for attacking a 62-year-old man last week, for attacking Arn Anderson the way he did. Is Arn Anderson only 62? Did I hear him right? Did he say 62? Because I thought Arn was older than that. To me, Arn Anderson is the kind of guy, he looked old when he was young. So even when Arn was in his heyday as part of the Horsemen, he was, probably maybe late 20s? But he looked at least 10 years older. I feel like he was born looking old. So maybe I just thought he was closer to 70 than he was 60. Because I think Tully Blanchard is 67. And Tully Blanchard moves around as good as any 67-year-old wrestler that I've seen. Out there taking bumps. I guess so is Arn. But Cody was not happy about Arn being attacked, and he didn't think he was making his point loud enough. And so he decided to throw down the headset. He asked for a microphone. He stormed down to the ring. I don't know why he's so upset. I saw the news today that his Go Big show on TBS just got renewed for a second season. They're going to be filming next month. Apparently they're replacing Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg will no longer be on the show. I think he's being replaced by DJ Khaled. Or Khaled, whatever the fuck you pronounce it. But I guess that means Cody is going to be taking another month away. Another month-long sabbatical from AEW. Could get him back just in time for All Out. So we'll see schedule-wise how that goes. But Cody got in the ring and he demanded. Called him Tommy End. He demanded that Tommy End or Malachi Black or whatever you call yourself come down to the ring. Black appeared on the screen. This was a very WWE-esque vignette with the smoke all around as he cut this promo. It was almost, you know what this felt like? This felt like an extension of the character he was playing on SmackDown before he got fired. That's what this kind of reminded me of. And he started to tell this story about a man who had to put down his prize horse because it just wasn't there. Just wasn't there anymore with the horse. It was time to put him down. And he likened Cody to this horse. Said that when he looked in Cody's eyes last week, he saw the same thing. It just wasn't there. And Cody told him to come down and get a better look. Black said, "I was hoping you would say that." And the lights in the building went off. And everybody lost their mind. They were so excited. So they wanted to see this guy in the ring. They didn't just want to see him up on the screen. They wanted to see him in the flesh. When the lights came back on, Malachi Black was standing in the ring in the corner. Cody slowly turned to face him. They stared at each other for about 2 seconds, and then they went right at it. They went right at each other. They had to be pulled apart by referees. The fans booed. Chanted, "Let them fight." But I thought this got great heat. And it wasn't a case where they were cheering Malachi Black and booing Cody. Cody came out, got a great reaction, but the fans loved Tommy End. So both these guys got great reactions. I thought this segment got great heat, and now it's only really a matter of when do they do the match. All Out would seem to make sense, and if Cody is going to be gone next month for any length of time, they could always shoot some kind of angle where, Tommy End takes him out. Cody doesn't resurface until the pay-per-view and they have their match. And by the way, even if that happens, if let's say Malachi takes him out, some big injury angle, Cody then comes back at All Out to get revenge and get the big win, that's a mistake. Cody should not be winning. Cody is not going to win. Everybody was panicking last week. Oh my God, he's going to lose to Cody in his first match. That would be beyond idiotic. So I am confident that when they meet, the winner will be Tommy End. But again, how often Cody will be available to do TVs next month if he's doing his reality show, that we don't know. But this was great. This was a hot segment. Backstage, Tully Blanchard walked. I don't know where he was going. It looked like he was leaving. He was all by himself. And he got cornered, I guess you would say, by Santana and Ortiz as he was leaving. And they looked like they were going to beat him up with some kind of metal pipe or something. But right before they were going to bash his brains in, Santana kind of gently tapped him on the head with it and said the bar was fake. But next time it wouldn't be. And it was a crowbar, actually. That's what it was. It wasn't a pipe. I think it was a crowbar. But he tapped Tully with it, said it was fake, and said next time it wouldn't be. And Santana told him to go get his boys. They're not going to beat him up because they respect their elders. But he was sending a message. He wanted him to deliver a message to FTR. And they left, and Tully stood up with the crowbar in his hand, and he said, "Oh, don't worry. I'll get my boys. I'll make them very aware. The message will be delivered." So that's another match I'm looking forward to. I think Santana and Ortiz against FTR should be a great match when that happens. And in fact, if you remember what I said a few weeks ago about what I would be doing with Santana and Ortiz in the next couple of months, everything is sort of perfectly aligned for it to go that way. If you build to a match at All Out between FTR and Santana and Ortiz, if that's what they're holding off until, you make that a number one contenders match. I don't know where they are right now in the rankings, but you make that a number one contenders match, and I'm telling you, everything is set up perfectly to go in the direction that I suggested a few weeks ago, which I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the Dark Order in a little bit. Tony Schiavone was in the ring to interview Adam Hangman Page. And Hangman became the biggest babyface in the company by not taking the microphone out of Tony Schiavone's hand. The first person in months that I could think of who did not swipe the microphone and had respect for the announcer. Thank you, Hangman Page. Schiavone said that Omega against Page is the match that fans wanted to see, and Page said, look, he wanted to be the AEW World Champion. He had his shot, and he failed. He fell short. But he says that the Dark Order is right. He needs that championship. And right before he was about to challenge Kenny Omega to a match, he was interrupted by the voice of Don Callis. Callis walks out, gets tremendous heat from the crowd. He's walking out with all the members of the Elite. The Bucks are with him, and we see Luke Gallows is there. Carl Anderson was not. Kenny Omega's pulling up from the rear. He's in the back. He comes out. And Callis says that Page just isn't the guy. And Nick Jackson agrees. He says the same thing. You're not the guy. And then Matt Jackson says, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go in the ring, and I have something I want to say to this man face to face. And Matt Jackson goes into the ring and he confronts Hangman Page and he says, hey, do you remember me? Do you remember us? We're the old best friends that you abandoned. Calls Page a sad, lonely drunk who's going to be the next wrestling tragedy. I thought for a second there he was talking about Jimmy Uso, but apparently he was talking to Hangman Page. So Page nailed Matt Jackson with a right hand, and as he was fending off the Elite, they were threatening to come into the ring and come after him, and he was kind of holding them back. He didn't see Kenny Omega slip into the ring behind him. And Omega had the AEW World title, and he was just waiting. He was waiting for Page to turn around so he can clobber him with the championship. The crowd came alive because down to the ring to make the save is the Dark Order. And the Dark Order gets into the ring, and Kenny Omega, he bails back out to the floor. And Page said that he's not leaving without a match. And Omega agreed. But he had a different suggestion. He suggested a 5-on-5 elimination match between the Dark Order with Hangman and the Elite. Now, he didn't say when, and they didn't announce the match for next week, so they may be waiting 2 weeks to do the match. I believe we have Fyter Fest this week and next week, and I want to say there's another theme show in 2 weeks. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just a regular episode of Dynamite, but we don't know. This match has not yet been officially announced, but it's not taking place next week, because they would have announced it at the end of the show. But Omega suggested a 5-on-5 elimination match and said that when he wins, this is now Hangman talking, Hangman says that when he wins, he wants an AEW title match against Kenny Omega. And not only does he want an AEW title match against Kenny Omega, he wants the Dark Order. He wants his friends to get a shot at the Bucks and the AEW tag team titles. So there were loud chants of cowboy shit. Omega said that he would think about it, but there has to be something in it for them. It can't just be one-sided. What do we get out of it? And so he suggested this. He said that if Page and the Dark Order were to lose, Hangman cannot challenge Omega for the AEW World Championship. Said he's going to take pleasure when the chants of cowboy shit turn into chants of belt collector. And he tried to get a belt collector chant going. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue the way that cowboy shit does. So it didn't really catch on. But Page agreed to those terms. Hangman in this segment showed a fire that we have not seen from him on this show in over a year. All the people who said that Hangman got cold and everything were absolutely right. They cooled him off. I mean, I was never worried because I always figured that this was the story they were going to come back to, especially when they got back on the road. And that's exactly what we're seeing. But there's no doubt that he was cooled off for a while and didn't really have a great sense of direction. He would come out and he was buddy-buddy with the Dark Order, and it would almost felt like it was beneath him, right? It was almost like it was, not that he was a comedy character, but because he was so attached to the Dark Order, who are all about comedy and laughs and stuff, it sort of lowered him down to that level as well. This was not that version of Hangman Page. This was the version of Hangman Page that you look at and say, hey, that's a guy that should be competing for the championship. This is a guy that we can take seriously. And we have not seen this version of Hangman in a very, very long time. So it was nice to see him showing that kind of fire and passion in that promo segment here tonight on this show. Now, in my opinion, Omega and Hangman should not be laying a finger on each other until they meet, presumably at All Out. These two should not touch. They should not lay a hand on each other until they get in the ring for their match one-on-one. That's how I would do it. I would tease it out. I would drag this out. You know, they're going to be in the same match. That doesn't mean they have to actually wrestle or touch. I would have Kenny Omega in there, you know, when they do the elimination match, trying to avoid Hangman like the plague. Not wanting to be in the ring with him, tagging out as soon as Hangman tags in. That's how I would play this out. But there's another question to consider here. Are they going to throw us a curveball? Are they possibly going to throw a curveball and have I guess what most people would consider to be a swerve, which would be an Elite win? What if the Elite wins the elimination match? and Hangman does not get his shot. Maybe they're not going to do the title match at All Out. Maybe they're going to hold off until Full Gear, which is originally where I thought the match would take place. I would have done it at Full Gear, 1 year after their last match. Maybe that's what they're going to do, right? We can't discount that as a possibility. Only a couple of weeks ago did they first start even teasing this direction on TV. All Out even feels a little soon. You can make the argument that All Out is almost, it's too soon to be doing a match or to be doing a title change. Maybe they should milk this out for at least a few more months. Maybe that's what they have in mind here. It was pointed out to me a few weeks ago that Hangman and his wife are having a kid, and she's due in November. So, I mean, that might throw a monkey wrench into things if he needs to take some time away, like Moxley did recently, or like Rollins did in WWE when Becky. But then again, I mean, you're not looking at an extended period of time, unless he wants to be out for an extended period of time. So, we could talk about how, well, he might not be on television for a few weeks, but, we could be talking about 2 weeks. It might not be that big of a deal. But that is something to keep in mind. I was not aware of this until a few weeks ago. But yes, he is having a baby cowboy or cowgirl. I have no idea. Maybe they don't know. But that is going to be happening in November. And whether or not he gets the match against Omega in September or whether or not he gets it in November, either way, it would probably have an impact if he was going to be off TV for a few weeks. But to me, a few weeks is not a big deal. If you're injured, if you're hurt, and you can't wrestle, you can't be on TV for 2 months, 3 months, that's a different story. I don't know that that's going to make a huge difference here one way or the other. But I'm very curious how they handle this. I still think, my prediction is that they still meet it All Out. Even if that's the first match, and they're going to do a second or even a third, I do believe that the first match, at least, is going to happen at All Out. Maybe Omega wins, and again, the title change does not happen there. And then they rematch them a few months later. It's possible too, but I do think that's going to be your main event at All Out. The Dark Order winning the tag team titles. If that were to happen, and I don't believe it will, but if that were to happen, would be in probably most buildings because they are well liked by the AEW audience. The AEW audience likes the Dark Order. It would make for a nice pop. But so would a guy who was standing there picking his nose and then eating it. That doesn't mean that it should happen. That doesn't mean that you should be doing that just because it gets a big reaction. The Dark Order should not be taking the tag team titles away from the Young Bucks. I've already told you who should be taking the tag team titles from the Young Bucks. And that should be Santana and Ortiz in September at Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens. That is where the Bucks should drop the titles. That is to whom the Bucks should be dropping the titles, not to Evil Uno and Stu Grayson and number 10 and number 5 and number 69 and whoever else is in the Dark Order. -1. So even if the babyfaces were to win the elimination match and they did a tag title match, let's say at All Out, the Bucks are going to win that match. As well they should. It's only one team that should be taking the titles from them, and that shouldn't happen until September. We had Alex Marvez in the back interviewing Chris Jericho about MJF's stipulations to earn another match with him. Jericho has to run the gauntlet. Remember what do you call them? The labors. Jericho's going to have 5 labors. MJF would be the 5th labor if he can get through the first 4. And Jericho said that he would walk through fire or run across broken glass, whatever it takes to get to MJF. Jericho said that he is the god of thunder and war in AEW. All of a sudden, the god of thunder and war didn't see fucking Shawn Spears coming in with a chair. You would think the god of thunder and war would have better vision. He'd be able to see something like that coming, but apparently he didn't. And Shawn Spears attacked him with a chair. MJF sat down and said, "How you doing, buddy?" And he said that Shawn Spears, the chairman of the Pinnacle, is going to be Jericho's first labor next week. The stipulation is that Spears can use a chair in the match, but Jericho cannot. Because remember, each one of these matches that Jericho has to win is going to have some kind of stipulation attached to it. So for match number 1, Jericho will have to beat this guy without the help of a steel chair. Most people have beaten Shawn Spears without the aid of a steel chair. I think he'll be okay. But you know what MJF did not say? You know what MJF did not say in this match? He did not say that Jericho cannot use Floyd, the baseball bat. So maybe that's their... Unless he gets disqualified for that, but that could be their little out there for him. We had Christian Cage one-on-one against Matt Hardy, whose wife, Rebby, for those who don't know, just popped out Hardy baby number 4. I think this past weekend, in fact. The first girl of the Hardy clan. They had 3 boys, right? They had Maxwell... They had Wolfgang, they had, I think, Bartholomew was the other one. Now they have a Hardy girl. I think it's, is it Eve? Not Eve. Is it Eve or Evie? Something like that. But they welcomed a baby girl this past weekend, and they gave their first photos. I guess this is what celebrity couples do. They give access to the first photos of the new baby to a major media outlet, People Magazine or something. In this case, it was Us Weekly. So Us Weekly got the first photos of the first Hardy baby girl being born. Unfortunately, the headline of the story when it was published was WWE star Matt Hardy has 4th child, or whatever the rest of the headline was. Now, eventually they did change it to AEW star Matt Hardy. But I did laugh at that. I'm sure the AEW PR person, knowing this from experience, having had experiences like this before with clients, I am sure that the AEW PR department looked at that and said, fuck. That was probably the first word out of their mouth, and then the first phone call they made was to Us Weekly to make sure that shit got changed. So, congratulations to the Hardy family on their new addition. The Hardy family office stayed behind here for this match. Matt did not want them at ringside, so he left them behind. And they opened up with the longest collar and elbow tie-up that I've ever seen. They even fell out of the ring, and when they fell out of the ring, they were still locked up. They wouldn't let go of this thing. First 30 seconds of the match, they were locked in this collar and elbow tie, maybe 45 seconds. So the big spot here early in the match was Matt Hardy is standing. They're both, well, actually, Christian is in the ring. He's through the ropes, and Matt has him in a position for a DDT. Matt is standing on the ring steps. Matt then delivers a DDT. He falls off the ring steps and DDTs Christian head first down onto the top of the ring steps. Right? It's a pretty brutal spot. And yet the announcers made no mention. Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, not one of them played up the fact that Christian was forced into an early retirement. He was on the sidelines. He was out of wrestling. He went 7 years without wrestling a match due to concussion issues. Now, why wouldn't you play that up? It's part of his story. So I thought that was very odd that the announcers, unless they were specifically told not to say that, and if they were, then I would direct this even to Tony Khan. Very bizarre that you wouldn't mention that to try to, play into the match, play into the concern for the babyface here. That's his Achilles heel. He has a history of concussions. Matt Hardy, the dastardly Matt Hardy, just DDT'd him on the ring steps, and nobody mentioned it. But they ended up going to break. Back from break, Hardy went for a twist of fate. Christian, though, fought out, hit a spear for a near fall. He hit a neck breaker over the ropes, followed by a frog splash for another near fall. We had Matt Hardy perching Christian up on the top rope, and he hit a superplex, but then he was too slow to make the successful cover. Christian went for the kill switch. Hardy grabbed the referee, though, for the distraction in an act of desperation, and while he grabbed the ref, he lifted his leg like a dog and delivered a low blow to Christian. The referee, of course, did not see it. Hardy hit the twist of fate. I thought that was a good near fall. I didn't necessarily buy that was going to be the finish, but I could see where some people would have. So I thought that was a good near fall. They rolled out to the floor, and Hardy locked on his new Leech submission. This is what Excalibur was exclaiming, "The Leech, the Leech." I thought he was referring to a person. I could think of a few people that I know that I would use that term for, but apparently this is the name of Hardy's new finishing move, his new submission maneuver. So he locked on the Leech, and then he quickly rolled back into the ring, and the referee was counting, and it looked like Christian might get counted out, but he slid back in right at the last second. Christian then countered the twist of fate into a kill switch and got the win. The Hardy family office comes out, so you got Private Party are out there. They're all surrounding the ring. Out comes Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus to even the odds. And then Luchasaurus put Christian up on his shoulders the way that he usually does with Jungle Boy, and Christian was able to take a lap around the ring on his shoulders in celebration of his win. You know, I had no interest, if you remember what I said last week when they were previewing this match for this week. I said I had no interest in this match coming into it, and I really didn't. You know, they're playing up the fact that there's a 23-year history between these two guys and, you know, playing off their past in WWE. And I just didn't care. I couldn't bring myself to care. But having watched this match, this was the best Matt Hardy match that I've seen since coming to AEW. It was the best Matt Hardy match I've seen since he debuted here for this company. And the crowd helped, but it wasn't just the crowd. These two had a good match. So props to both of them. Fair play. Had no interest coming into this match. Didn't think it was going to amount to much of anything. I do think Matt Hardy's best days, obviously, you know, from a physical standpoint, are behind him. But these two guys had a good match. So, like I said, fair play to the both of them. We had a Miro promo and package that they aired. The message here is that he is God's favorite champion. That is really the message of this promo here. No wonder Vince McMahon buried him. It kind of hit me when I heard him say that again. He's been saying it for weeks. But listening to him talk about how I'm God's favorite champion, no wonder Vince McMahon didn't do more with this guy. I mean, Vince McMahon, here's a guy who once feuded with God. He had a pay-per-view match against God. Remember Joey Styles in his work shoot on Raw? One of the things he was yelling about? He mocked God! Mocked God! So of course Vince McMahon was going to fuck with this guy because he was God's favorite. Now it all makes sense. It's not going to push his favorite wrestler. The big takeaway from this promo is that when he held up the TNT title, it looked a little bit different. It had a white strap. They had white leather on the TNT title, which I actually thought looked pretty nice. Tony Schiavone, actually, before I see, everybody remembers that promo, right? He mocks God, mocks God. He was really animated about that too. That's right. See, those are the days of Raw that were worth remembering. When fun stuff and interesting stuff actually took place on the show. We had Tony Schiavone. He was back in the ring to interview the AEW Women's World Champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who was flying solo this week, no Rebel. But got a great reaction. Great reaction here for the champ. Tony said that everybody was concerned about Britt's well-being, and Britt said, don't worry about it. She's dealt with a lot. She's come out of it the baddest bitch on the block. And what's daunting is trying to keep Nyla Rose relevant. She said Vicky Guerrero has a last name that will keep her relevant. It's the only thing keeping her relevant in wrestling, which, let's be honest, is 100% true. I mean, that's just the reality of it. With the championship, Baker's the hottest promo in pro wrestling, but even without it, she is still DMD. I thought this was a good promo. That is kind of the summation of it, but I thought on the whole, this was a good promo from her. Backstage, Vicky was standing there with Nyla. She was yelling some stuff. I understood half of what she was saying. Nyla said next week she hands Britt Baker the ass whooping of her life. That I understood. The two of them will meet for the championship next week. So at least they're not saving this for the pay-per-view. We're gonna knock this out next week on Dynamite. Sammy Guevara against the newcomer Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta, who has appeared in the past on New Japan Strong. He came out to the Best Friends music. He had Orange Cassidy out there with him. Blade and Bunny were shown looking on in the crowd. Sammy missed 2 moonsaults before hitting a running shooting star press for a near fall. Sammy climbed to the top rope, but Yuta got the knees up on the landing on the shooting star press. Guevara later hit a forearm smash. Yuta came back with a German suplex and then followed it up with a huge diving splash off the top rope, but Sammy kicked out at 1. They traded blows and strikes until Guevara hit a corner spear and a double springboard cutter and hit the GTH, the go to hell, for the win. So this wasn't a squash win. We saw, we got some offense here from the newcomer, who I thought looked good. But this really was all about Sammy Guevara, who is also a native of the Lone Star State. Got a great reaction. Good to see. I'm telling you, Sammy has a lot of potential as being the biggest babyface in the company. He and Hangman and Darby, those are the 3 right there. The fans have really taken to Sammy ever since this Inner Circle babyface turn. So this was more of a kind of a showcase for him more than anything else. We had Yuka Sakazaki against Penelope Ford. Yuka's first match on Dynamite in 16 months since before the pandemic. We have not seen her in AEW on this show. She hit a middle rope cannonball dive out of the ring before bringing Penelope back into the ring for the cover. She kicked out. Penelope took out Sakazaki's knee, choked her over the ropes, which led into the commercial break. Later on, they were having a forearm strike exchange. Sakazaki powered Ford up for a vertical suplex, hit a rolling kick, and then a diving back elbow. Penelope fought out of a suplex, hit 2 pump kicks, and Yuka came back with the magical merry-go-round followed by the magical girl splash. That's the name of the move. The magical girl splash for the win. They worked hard, but this was the weakest thing on the entire show. It was fine. Can't really say there was anything wrong with it, but it also wasn't that great. It was what it was. But definitely the weakest of all the matches on this show. Then we get to the main event. First ever Coffin match in AEW history. Darby Allin one-on-one with Ethan Page. You know, when WWE first started having casket matches, that's what they called it. They called it a coffin match. That first match with Kamala at Survivor Series was billed and promoted as a coffin match. And then they ended up changing it to casket match for whatever reason. WWE has those nice caskets that they spend a lot of money on, right? The big, and they have like a lot of room in them. This was as basic and cheap of a casket as you can find. They found the smallest, cheapest casket that you could possibly. It was like literally a fucking pine box or something. Here you go. They did not spare any expense for the coffin here on this show. Darby was wearing a steel plate strapped to his back, a la Bret Hart in WCW with Bill Goldberg. Only in that angle, Bret had it strapped around his midsection when Goldberg went for the spear. Fucking guy knocked himself out. That was the best thing Bret Hart ever did, by the way, in WCW. That and the promo on El Dandy. Those are the two, and I know he won the world title and everything, you know, and if I had to put together a top 3, what are the 3 best things and the 3 most notable things about Bret Hart's run in WCW? Because there wasn't much. Okay, I'm not putting them in order, but the 3 things that immediately come to mind are the Owen Hart tribute match on Nitro with Chris Benoit, the El Dandy promo, and the angle on Nitro with Goldberg where he wore the metal plate and Goldberg knocked himself out. That's it. That's all you need. If you want the best of Bret Hart and WCW, I just listed it there. That's your top 3 right there. So whether or not that's where Darby got the idea from, I can't say for sure, but that's exactly what a lot of people, I'm sure, who were watching this were thinking. It reminded them of the Bret Hart angle on Nitro. But in this case, he had it strapped to his back, and he did a running coffin drop off of the ropes, like a springboard off the ropes backwards, and he collided with Ethan Page, and then he pulled the plate off. Ethan had rolled out to the floor. He did one of his torpedo dives, did Darby, out onto him. So Darby went to go open the lid to the casket when Scorpio Sky popped out, and he attacked him, and that brought out Sting, unannounced, to a gigantic pop because people weren't expecting to see him. I don't know if he was advertised locally, but I don't think people were really expecting him on the show. So out came Sting, and he beat the hell out of Scorpio. He threw him over the barricade into the crowd, up against the wall. And then Sting backed up, and Sting was getting ready to go for a scorpion, or not a scorpion, a stinger splash. And, you know, he sets up for it. It's not like it's an instantaneous thing, right? The guy's 60-something years old. He takes his time. He goes back. He's getting ready to build up a head of steam, right? Build up some speed. You know that the guy is about to go for the stinger splash. And yet, they cut away right before he goes to hit the splash. The camera cuts away from Sting. What does the camera cut to? The camera cuts to a shot of Ethan Page, who is loosening the metal bar that connects the turnbuckle to the ring post. So, good job, guys. Why the fuck would you cut away at that exact moment? Why would you do that? Well, they barely caught Sting missing, so at least they quickly tried to cut back to him. Scorpio had moved out of the way, and Sting, I believe, missed the move. But during the picture-in-picture break, Darby did a balcony dive. I can't believe they did this. They did this shit during the commercial. At least they replayed it. He did a balcony dive in the crowd. Remember when Jeff Hardy gave Bubba Ray Dudley in Madison Square Garden the Swanton bomb off the top of the taxi cab above the entranceway, down through a table? That's kind of what this was. He was in the crowd, he was up on a little balcony thing, and he did a dive off. In this case, Ethan Page caught him and then smashed him. He rammed him back first into the metal banister. Back in the ring, Ethan got the heat on Darby. He used the metal turnbuckle beam that he had dislodged, that he had removed. He had unhooked from the ring, and he used it as a weapon. Now it has a hook. Giant metal hook at the end of it. He hooked the hook. He hooked the hook. He hooked the hook on Darby's necklace, because Darby has this necklace that he wears during his matches. And then he yanked backwards, and the necklace came off. Darby came back, though, and he took the hook and fish hooked Ethan Page with the hook. So he stuck the hook in his mouth, and he fish hooked him. All this talk about Hook, I was waiting for Hook to make a run in here in this match. Again, where is Hook? I want to see Hook wrestle. Did I mention that before? We see this kid on television every week. I have no idea if he can wrestle. A lot of Hook on this show. We didn't get Captain Hook. We had a lot of Hook. Darby dropkicked Page into the coffin, but got to close the lid to win the match. But he went out there, and now both of them are standing in this small coffin. And they're trading blows, they're trading strikes back and forth. Page backdropped him out of the coffin onto the floor. Then he rolled Darby back into the ring. And then this was probably up until what happened at, post-match. This was the spot of the match, spot of the night. This was brutal. Ethan Page got Darby in position for the Ego's Edge. He gave him the Ego's Edge off, I don't remember if it was the top rope or the middle rope, but off the ropes, the Razor's Edge, basically, onto the flat part of the ring steps. The ring steps had been brought into the ring, and he gave him a Razor's Edge onto the top of the ring steps. Brutal. Darby is just a fucking madman for taking shit like that. You got to imagine, it just knocks the wind right out of you. You know what I mean? And forget the pain. I mean, if you do it the right way, I'm sure it's not terrible, but still, the margin for error when you do stuff like this is very thin. So that was a hell of a spot. Loud chants of "This is awesome." Paige went to go suplex him into the coffin, but Darby gouged the eyes. Darby grabbed his skateboard, he placed it underneath his feet, and from the top rope, as he jumped off, he positioned the skateboard underneath his feet, came down right across Ethan Page's back. Ethan fell off the apron into the coffin, and Darby slammed the lid shut for the win. So Darby Allin wins the coffin match, but that wasn't enough. So now Ethan Page is on the outside. I don't know if he's locked in there, but he's basically locked in this coffin. Darby goes back up to the top rope, and there's no metal plate this time. He goes up to the top rope, and he delivers a coffin drop. Onto the coffin, he goes crashing right through the lid, which would explain why the coffin was such a cheap-looking piece of garbage, because they wanted to do that spot at the end. So at least there was a reason why they didn't fancy up the casket. Even the casket they used in Lucha Underground when they did the Grave Consequences match with Mil Muertes and Rey Fenix. That was a pretty cool looking casket. They put some artwork on there and everything. They really went out to make it look really nice. That's why when I saw this one wheeled out there, it kind of struck me like, all right. But they wanted to do the spot at the end where Darby would come off and he would go crashing through. Darby's not a big guy. They call him 170 pounds. I'd be surprised if he's even that much. So Darby Allin landing on top of like a big casket, he's not going through that thing, most likely. But he went through the casket here. So guy's a fucking crazy person for putting himself through stuff like that. It was a great visual, though. It's a great way to go off the air. And Darby Allin, one of the biggest baby faces in the company, gets a huge win as they go off the air. You know, a lot of those Darby Allin TNT title defenses in the main event on Dynamite, months ago when he was the champion, would do some of the best ratings on the show. So it was actually smart to save his match as the main event. So we'll see. I mean, they were up against an NBA game tonight. I don't know, how that might affect things. It certainly affected WWE. But I thought that it was a smart way for them to end, a hot way for them to end. They opened with a hot match. They closed with a hot match. And sometimes you hear me say that, and I'm like, everything in the middle was hit or miss. Nothing really special. But tonight, it felt like they were just firing on all cylinders. And honestly, the women's match was the only thing that I kind of just went, I didn't really see as being anything special. This was an excellent show. And that right there is an excellent super chat. Professor John Gotti dropping $100 on the stream. You know what that's worthy of? That's worthy of some confetti. Let's get some confetti here. as it lags a little bit. Let's get the confetti coming down for this. The least we can do. We got to get some confetti here for John Gotti dropping a hundy bomb here on the live stream. Professor John Gotti, I hope you're doing well. I hope Professor John Gotti had a great 4th of July. Went to a barbecue somewhere, had some hamburgers and hot dogs. He says, don't forget to hit that like button. That's right. Stick that thumbs up there. There you go. Give this video a thumbs up. Every time you do, it helps the algorithm and all that. You want to help out the channel, all you got to do is hit the like button. That's all you got to do. You never know when the professor is going to strike. You never know if he's going to be here for a Dynamite stream. You never know if he's going to show up for a pay-per-view stream. We got one of those coming up on Sunday, Money in the Bank. Looking forward to that. In front of live human beings and not virtual video screens. So you never know when the good professor is going to make an appearance. But thank you to him. We're going to get to all of your super chats here in a second. But first, I got to tell you what the lineup is for next week. Because this was only night 1 of Fyter Fest. Next Wednesday is night 2. And we have Jon Moxley defending the IWGP United States Championship in a Texas death match against Lance Archer. I'm looking for a new champion there. Orange Cassidy goes one-on-one with The Blade. Chris Jericho takes on Shawn Spears. Spears can use a steel chair. Jericho cannot. And Britt Baker defends the AEW Women's title against Nyla Rose. And don't forget, that's not even the biggest thing going on next Wednesday. Because we have the all-out ticket giveaway, courtesy of WrestleRumble.com. You can enter right now, WrestleRumble.com. $1 to enter. You can win 2 tickets to the show in Chicago on September, is it 5th, I believe? September 5th? Yes, it is. That's Labor Day weekend. And you get food and drinks as well on the house. It's a great seat. I showed you guys the seating chart before. I mean, it's one level up, second row of that section, dead center. You and a friend, you and a companion, whoever you decide to bring with you, you and your little doll Lily, whoever or whatever it may be, you're going to have a great time. You're going to have a great view. Courtesy of Wrestle Rumble. I'm going to be picking that winner live on the Solomonster Sounds of Dynamite review next week. So when I review night 2 of Fyter Fest next week, we will be giving away 2 tickets to All Out, which as of today is sold out. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We got 2 polls to check here, because 2 is better than 1. Let's check the Twitter poll first. And just shy of 88% of you have given this show tonight a thumbs up. Only 12% giving this show a thumbs down. I'm just going to check the poll. We have a poll up here on the stream here on YouTube. We have another 664 votes in this poll. 665. That number's going up. Uh-oh, we're about to hit 666. One more vote. One more vote. We're going to hit 666, the mark of the beast. And I don't mean Brock Lesnar. 92% of you on YouTube have said this was a thumbs up show. Only 8% voting thumbs down. So I will keep that poll up for a little while longer. If you guys want to cast your ballot, you can go ahead and do so. By the way, we have another contest I have to let you guys know about. There's a lot of really cool shit coming up, I have to say. And this thing right here, I am every bit as excited about this as I am the ticket giveaway next week. Because before we, oh my God. Is that who I think it is? It is. I feel like Michael Cole now. Could it be? It is. Professor John Gotti. Dropping another $100 here on the stream. He says 4th of July. He had burgers, hot dogs, ribs, beer, whiskey, salad, macaroni salad, potato salad, more beer. I feel like we should be doing the what chant in between all this, like a Steve Austin promo from 2002. More beer, more ribs, more burgers, more beer, more whiskey. How can you afford Super Chats after buying all that food and all that booze? That's what I want to know. Holy shit. Thank you, sir. He is showing some love here on the stream. What I was about to say is that you can win this custom Solomonster Championship belt. All you got to do is go to Wrestle Rumble. I'm telling you, that's the place to go, man. That's the hot spot. WrestleRumble.com. $1 to enter. You can enter as many times as you wish. There's only one of these that we are giving away. We are doing this contest during my Money in the Bank stream on Sunday. So that is going to be the contest. Entries are open until Sunday evening, right before the pay-per-view starts. Don't wait. Don't wait until the last minute. Get in on that now. And during the stream on Sunday night, I'm going to be back live on Sunday. I'm going to pick one lucky winner to win that custom championship belt. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. We've never had a custom Solomonster title before until now. And I hope somebody watching this right now ends up getting that belt. You and I got one of my own. We could be tag team champions here. That belt, by the way, is more valuable than that 24/7 piece of crap that you see on TV every Monday night. It's a lot nicer, too. So, Anyway, now is one of my favorite parts of the stream, where I get to take a look at your questions and your comments and answer your questions and all that fun stuff. All of your super chats. I know some people were dropping some messages tonight, I presume about tonight's show. I guess we'll find out. You can pretty much super chat about whatever, but even better if it's about Dynamite. You know, the show that we just watched, the show that I just spent an hour reviewing. I want to know what you guys thought. And we got a lot of messages here. That's good, though. It's a good problem to have. Let's get some music going on here. Let's get some music going on. All right, let's go to your super chats. Here we go. This is where I turn the show over to you guys. And we get to hang out here for a little while on a Wednesday night. Hope you guys are having a great night. Hope you guys are having a great week. We had pretty crappy weather here in New York. Very wet, overcast, not very fun. Hopefully it's nicer where you are. Here we go. The Burnt Fiend. We'll get to Sam's message here in a little bit. I want to start off though with Naif Al-Safar, who dropped some love before we went live tonight. Naif, thank you for the $10. Ace of Masta with the 5. Won't be able to stay for the live show tonight, but goddamn, that was a hell of a Dynamite. Indeed it was. I said it at the beginning of the stream, if you joined late, I thought this was probably my favorite episode of Dynamite since they started on TNT back in October of 2019. And they've had some really great shows in the past, but this might be my favorite. This was a very enjoyable show tonight. Brian Becerra with the $5. Coffin drop on the Coffin to close out the night. Freaking insane. Chase Wood with the $25 super chat. Chase, thank you. Easily my favorite AEW show of 2021. Do you think Rampage should add a TV title when they get started and have rules for it like the NWA had? I don't think it's necessary right now. If they're going to add any new titles, I think it's far more likely we end up with trios titles. But I think in terms of singles, you know, now they have the FTW belt being defended on the show. I don't think they need a TV title. The TNT title is going to be defended on Rampage. Rampage is going to be debuting on TNT. So, at least for now, at least for this year, there's no need to add another belt. Edwin Cardenas with the $5. First Cody ends racism and now he's going for Satanism. He's a miracle worker. I mean, what more can be said? That's why he's going to run for governor, he's going to run for Senate. He'll probably run for president one day. Oh, it's going to happen. We're going to have a presidential election one day. It's going to be Cody against The Rock. We're all going to be fucked. Who would you vote for, Cody or The Rock? Probably The Rock. Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury. I'm glad Cody wore white and Tommy End wore black. That way we know who was a heel and who was a face. Well, you know what? That's a great point. I forgot to mention that. They were very distinctly wearing white in the case of Cody, the babyface, and black wearing black. And it reminded me of the Heaven and Hell entrance for Undertaker and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25, right? Where Shawn was wearing white and he descended from the heavens and Undertaker all black rising up from the depths of hell. I like that dynamic. It's I'm sure it was by design. They were not wearing those colors tonight by accident. Gary with the $4 super chat. As Naya's hole immediately blocks Gary's super chat, but I have it in another window here. Haha. Not even Naya's hole is big enough to block the other window. Said, bro, that Miro, bro. I can't wait for him to be the first dual champion in AEW, bro. I don't see anybody beating him for a very long time, bro. Magician Sapphire with the $10. That Coffin match was nuts. Kudos to Darby and Paige. Magician Sapphire, thank you. That was indeed a very insane finish to that show. Sheep with the $2 super chat. The crowd was awesome tonight. Proper fans. I'm telling you, man, the fans alone don't make a show good. But I've said before, a hot crowd that's really into everything can take a good show and make it great. That's the effect that a hot crowd can have. When you have that kind of energy, it just sort of, I don't know, it just lifts everybody up. It kind of wakes you up. It just adds a whole other element to the show, but you still have to put on a good show. You can have a pile of shit that people can stand there and cheer for. It's still a pile of shit. This show tonight was not a pile of shit. This show was a very good show coupled with an even better crowd, and it just made for a really fun 2 hours of television. I mean, what more can you ask for, really? Andrew Jorlog with the $25. AEW gonna jump big time if they actually land Bryan Danielson. They are clicking on all cylinders right now. Jacob Donnelly with the $5. I hope Tony celebrates tonight for being able to keep the microphone safe in his hands. I'm telling you, man, he glued that shit. Oz and Glorious with the $5. Show was effing great tonight. Penelope can have as many bad matches as she wants for all I care. Also, QT Marshall, you can go to hell. Yeah, I didn't mention that. There was a backstage, because I didn't think it was worth mentioning, but there was a backstage segment with QT and his Nightmare Factory students, and he poured a cup of coffee over Tony Schiavone's head, because he thought Tony was disrespecting him. That was the whole segment. He just completely bullied Tony Soprano. He poured coffee on his head, and Tony just stood there, and he took it, and what was he gonna do? What was he gonna do? Poor Tony Schiavone. Oz and Glorious, QT Marshall is the boring love child of Brooklyn Brawler Shane McMahon and Horace Hogan. When nepotism goes wrong. Kayfabe, FTW with the $5. AEW feels like they're picking up right where they left off 16 months ago. Fantastic episode tonight. Mikey Clayman, buy, sell, Casino, or Goodfellas? Oof. I enjoyed both, so that's a tough one. But for me, I gotta say Goodfellas. I think if you put me on the spot there, I probably would say Goodfellas. John Trailer with the $10 super chat. I know it's an AEW review, but I cannot help myself. Vince McMahon needs both Solomonster and JD from NY as head of creative. I've been a faithful fan of both of you since 2015. I don't think that Vince McMahon could pay us enough to take that job. Although I'll speak for myself on that. I don't think he can pay me enough for the stress that goes with having to work for Vince McMahon in any kind of creative capacity. one of the things that happens as you age and you get older is you start to lose your hair, right? It happens to all of us. Some of us, it happens a little bit younger than others. I have friends who are just totally bald, and not by choice. And then I have other friends who are rocking hair it's like down to their shoulders, right? Genetics usually plays a role. But I don't doubt that if I started working for Vince McMahon in any kind of creative capacity, that I would lose all the hair on my head within a matter of months. I like my hair. I want to hold on to it as long as I possibly can before it starts to go away. So in order to keep it on my head, I think it would be better for me not to work in any kind of creative role in WWE. But that is a very nice compliment for you to pay both of us. I've pitched a lot of ideas on my show. I know JD pitches a lot of really good ideas on his show too. And yet WWE continues to just go ahead with their own ideas, which more often than not are not so good. Sad part is they actually pay people to come up with these ideas for them. That's the sad part. But it's his company, so he can do what he wants. Steven Chappa with the $50 super chat. Seems like a long time since I've been on While You Review, so here's a little something for the best damn podcaster. Steven, thank you, man. Yeah, I haven't seen Steven around or saw his name pop up here in a while. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Canadian Oddball with the $16 super chat. Darby Allin gave Mick Foley a half chub with some of those bumps that he was taking. All right, well, now that you've put the image of Mick Foley and a half chub in my head, that's not cool. That's just not cool at all. He says, so over already, and he can only go up. Awesome match. The sky's the limit for Darby as long as he doesn't get hurt. The problem is some of the bumps he takes. How long of a career is he going to have? But it's what he does, right? So you don't want to go to him and say, well, you're not allowed to do stuff like that. That's just what he does. He's a daredevil. He likes to take risks. And he's going to wrestle the style that he wants to wrestle. So... but it works for him. It's certainly gotten him over. It's gotten him over as one of the biggest stars in the company, so who's to argue? Dry chicken without flavor. It feels great to see AEW back on the road. Now we're seeing a huge difference, which I really miss seeing. No more Daly's Place fatigue. Yeah, you know, Daly's Place it's a nice venue. It is. It's a nice venue to see wrestling, but when you see it for, how long was it? 13, 14 months, 15 months, whatever it was, it just gets tiresome. And you just gotta get out of there and venture out and, you know, get in front of actual people. But just, even if they weren't in front of these packed crowds, just get into different venues, get into different places, big and small, and just change up the scenery a little bit. So that's part of it too. It's refreshing to see them back in an actual building. In a traditional arena setting like that. It's just nice. And it's going to be nice with WWE too. You know, we can sit here and talk about the quality of Raw and they're creative and all that. But the reality is there's going to be a little bit of a honeymoon period with WWE as well. Where, at least the first few weeks, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice this weekend. I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank. And being, they're in Texas, I believe, right? So there we go again. You know, AEW running a show this week and next week in Texas. And WWE is going to be in Houston on Friday for SmackDown. And they're going to be in Fort Worth on Sunday for the pay-per-view. So Texas is getting a whole bunch of wrestling matches these next couple of weeks. But it's going to be nice to be back on the road. And I'm hoping that the crowd on Sunday for Money in the Bank has the same level of enthusiasm that the crowd here tonight had for AEW. I mean, that can make for a great pay-per-view. So. Dry chicken. Thank you, though, for that super chat. Brian Gates with the $5. What's up? I like the show. I hate Mox's new theme. The old one for him is better. I do miss his old AEW theme. I actually liked his AEW theme a lot. I liked it more than I liked his WWE music. It's just an instrumental riff, but I hope at some point he does go back to his original AEW theme. I think it suits him very well. I don't hate the current music. I just I didn't have an issue with the old music. Level 20, Factotum with the $5. Got tickets for Grand Slam this morning. Hope it will be as awesome as this episode. I was at the pre-sale, I believe, for Arthur Ashe. Congratulations. It's gonna be very interesting seeing how that looks on TV. From what I saw from the seating chart, there's really not a bad seat in the house at that stadium. First time they're gonna have a wrestling event there. So again, it's just one of those settings that's just out of the ordinary. You wouldn't expect to see a wrestling show there. I like stuff like that. It's like when they do SmackDown in a few weeks, they're going to be airing some matches live from this music festival, the Rolling Loud Miami Festival, in 2 weeks on SmackDown. I think that's great. I like shit like that. It's something different, something out of the ordinary. 5-second reviews with a $5 super chat. What do you think of WWE or NXT having a secondary women's belt? I don't think it's needed. WWE right now has a huge hole in their women's division on the main roster. They're starting to fill that hole a little bit on SmackDown by calling some names up from NXT. Maybe if you asked me that question in 6 months, I might have a different answer for you. But right now, that is not what they need. They do not need more titles in the women's division on that roster. And AEW doesn't either. So no, I don't think they need. EJ Slemp with the $5 super chat. Next week, I'm going to a Windy City Thunderbolts minor league baseball game, and they are having a post-game indie wrestling show. I am very excited. I have been to my fair share of indie shows at baseball stadiums and minor league ballparks. Actually, I was at an indie show once at not Shea Stadium, at Citi Field. Many years ago, not long after Citi Field opened. Scott Steiner was there. Bill Goldberg was there. They had a whole bunch of wrestling stars. Not a lot of people there. They had the ring in like by the mound. All these empty seats in this big ass stadium. But I've been to Impact, old TNA wrestling events in a minor league ballpark. When you're in those intimate venues, it tends to be more fun. Again, you don't really have a bad seat because you're that much closer to the action. So I don't know what the capacity is of the ballpark you're going to, but you'll have fun. If you've never done that before, even if it is an indie show and you don't really know too many of the people on the show, you'll have fun. I've always had a good time when I go to shows like that. Chris Quillman, the Solomonster belt is mine. Well, we'll see, because I'm picking the winner at random. So if Lady Luck is on your side, then you might win that belt. Of course, you can improve your chances by buying multiple entries, but that's up to you. I don't know what your budget is, but if you want to increase your chances, you just buy more entries. It's very simple. Randy Bobandy with the $25 super chat. Congrats to your polar bear at the home run derby. For a brief moment as an O's fan, I thought I could finally brag that we won something. Yeah, he was a beast. He was a beast at the home run. Of course, I wasn't watching Raw. I watched Raw the next morning because I was watching one of our own win for the second year in a row, right? Because we didn't have one last year. The Mets winning the home run derby. Yeah, we got a good one. We got a good one on our team. Level 20, the horse promo was the exact promo that Cody made for Double or Nothing 2019 for Dustin Rhodes. I did not realize that. Is that true? I will take your word for it. Let me check. I want to check our YouTube poll again. So for those who don't know, we have a poll that you can vote on literally in the chat right now. There's a new feature that YouTube has just rolled out this week. And we have over 750 votes. Dynamite is winning thumbs up over thumbs down right now, 92-8. So check out that poll. It's up. It should be up in the corner, that blue box there. You can vote thumbs up or thumbs down. Care Wesh with the $5 super chat. I remember a couple of weeks ago, Andrade El Idolo and Vicky teasing a surprise. I probably missed it, but what was the surprise? You did not miss the surprise. The surprise is that there was no surprise. We're still waiting for the surprise. So you did not miss a thing. We never did find out what that surprise was. Oz and Glorious, CM Punk is debuting it All Out. Change my mind. I think you're going to be very disappointed when that pay-per-view is over. EJ Slemp, my friend said he thinks AEW might do a brand roster split like WWE with Dynamite and Rampage. I said that will not happen. Who do you agree with? I agree with whoever is saying that that will not be happening. I don't see a need for it. I'm not a fan of the WWE brand split. You think I want to see an AEW brand split? I mean, maybe they would do a better job, but I don't want to see a brand split. AEW is not doing a brand split. There's no need for it. Dry chicken without flavor. I think you need to get new friends, by the way. Dry chicken without flavor. When every time the Dark Order keeps coming out to aid Hangman Page, I either start playing Thundercats theme or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Jared M. with the $45 super chat drop says electric show tonight. Absolutely. Best Dynamite that I've seen them do yet. Emin Johnson, gun to your head. Wow. What company will be stronger in the next 10 years? AEW or WWE? Also, when do you think AEW will be able to sell out Jaguars Stadium? Jaguar Stadium, what is the capacity for Jaguar Stadium? Is it 60? 70,000? It's going to be, I think it'll be a couple of years. But I do think they will get to a point where they will be able to pack in a stadium like that. Who will be stronger in the next 10 years? It's impossible. I mean, 10 years is a long time. Look, dude, 5 years is a long time. The company that's ultimately going to be stronger, if you want to go that far and that deep into the future, it's going to be the company that has the better television deal. And I hope for continued success for AEW, but that company is most likely going to be WWE. AEW is not going to overtake WWE in terms of business. They're not going to overtake WWE in terms of the amount of money they generate, the amount of profit they generate. It's just not going to happen. WWE is too big. I don't want to say they're too big to fail, because they make some really boneheaded decisions sometimes, but they're just far too big. And they've got such a head start on AEW that AEW can do very well. AEW can thrive and can coexist with them, but can they overtake them? Well, I mean, what does that mean? Overtake them in terms of what? In terms of business? In terms of television ratings? In terms of creative? Creatively, yeah, I think they could pull ahead of WWE. Some people would say that they already have. In many ways, yes, they already have. But if you're talking in terms of as a business, in terms of money made, it's not going to happen. I don't see that happen. But you're talking 10 years out. I'm looking ahead like in the next 5 years. 10 years, it's impossible to say, dude. I mean, you can't predict these things. Things are changing so quickly in terms of just all aspects of business. And I think of those TV contracts. And again, so many things can change. But I just can't see them pulling ahead of WWE. They don't have to. All they need to do is focus on keeping their business strong, not losing that deal with TNT, or if they ever did, getting a better deal somewhere else. That is their lifeblood. They lose that, it could be the end of the company. So they need to just keep focusing on their own house, keeping their house in order, keeping their house strong, and not worry about what WWE is doing. Both companies can thrive at the same time and coexist in harmony. That's what I believe. As a wrestling fan, we need AEW to stick around. John Gotti, there's that first $100 bomb he dropped earlier. Again, thank you, sir. Was not expecting that. Dry chicken without flavor. Hook, hook, hook. So many hooks tonight on Dynamite. Next week, get a fog machine to start a hookah lounge on the stream. My God, it's been so long since I've been to a hookah lounge. I should do a live stream one day from there. I have to do it from my phone, though. Maybe I should get a fog machine. Turn the lights down. We got a new subscriber. There's Dancing Nakamura. You should subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you are not already subbed. I don't know what you're waiting for. We got new content going up every week, live streams. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, if you like the community we have here in the chat, go ahead and hit that sub button. And there's that second super chat that I read from John Gotti. He ate well for the 4th of July. I'm jealous, actually. I went to a 4th of July gathering. I was hoping and expecting hot dogs and hamburgers, and they had something else. It wasn't hot dogs and hamburgers. It wasn't what I was expecting. So I had them the next night. I had a hot dog and a hamburger for dinner the next night. Uffman Entertainment must win that custom belt to bring it to AEW in Newark in September. Yes, if whoever wins that custom championship belt, you know my thoughts on carrying championship replica belts around at live events. I don't understand it. I don't understand why you would want to carry around. Now, this is a heavy belt, by the way. So this belt that you're going to be winning is 9 pounds. It is a heavy belt. So if you want to carry it around at an event, by all means, if you want to represent the podcast, if you want to represent the sound off, I think that would be fantastic. But you got to win it first. You got to win it first. You haven't won anything yet. Sam Thompson, thank you for the $5. No message. Oh, here we go. We got another super chat with a message. How would you book Dolph Ziggler's jump to AEW? I wouldn't. Thank you, Sam. King of Doug Style with a $5 super chat. The professor making the rest of us look like pores, as MJF would say. Darlene with the $5 super chat. Did you notice the look Jungle Boy gave Christian while he was on Luchasaurus' shoulders? Even commentary mentioned it. I wonder what is brewing there. You know what? I did notice that. Now that you mentioned that, I didn't mention it during the review, but that is a great point. He looked jealous. It's strange because I had been thinking that Christian would go heel on Jungle Boy. And now we're thinking of Jungle, which would be insanely stupid. Even the thought of turning Jungle Boy heel right now, in my opinion, would be insanely dumb. So it may not be going anywhere. If commentary mentioned it, then they probably mentioned it for a reason. But I did notice that. It was a little look and the camera got a shot of it. But if that's going to build to some kind of a heel turn, that is absolutely something that they should immediately abandon even thinking about. One of the biggest baby faces they have. Germinator 24 with the $2 super chat. No plans right now, but we'll see what happens. But thank you for the $2, man. I appreciate it. Skywalker, was the fan in the audience dressed as Jesus the real Jesus Christ? Or was the fan holding the AEW championship the real AEW champion? Well, that is the question. I don't have a good answer for it. I don't know how to respond to a question like that. But clearly, the fact that we have the real Jesus Christ in the audience tonight, and I didn't even mention it during my review, tells you what I thought about that. Apparently, Jesus is not over enough with me for me to even mention him during the review. He's got some work to do. He's not over yet. He's not over yet. He's still a jobber. He's got to work his way up. He hasn't done enough to impress me. I am unimpressed. by Wrestling Jesus. Ken terminated by DQ. Thank you for the $5. Did you notice that Darlene is the classiest woman in the chat? Shout out to my dogs in the chat like dried chicken. She is indeed. She is one of the classiest people we have joining us here on the streams, and I appreciate her support. Coggies with the $10. What a Fighter Fest Night 1. Love it. Can't wait for Murder Hawk and Mox next week. Great podcast this week, brother. Cheers. Thank you, sir. We went over 2.5 hours on episode 712 the other day, if you missed it. A lot of good stuff on that podcast, a lot of good history. You know, we got 2 months left of that history segment before I hit the 1 year mark, and we call an end to it. I've really enjoyed doing it, and we got more history coming up this Sunday. I have a lot of work to do these next few days, but it's gonna be a busy weekend. But when I get messages like that, it makes me feel good. So thank you, Coggies. Oz and Glorious with the $5. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a novel, is now out on Audible. How can we get it for free, Solomonster? Well, if you would like to get Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a novel for free on Audible, all you have to do is sign up for an Audible trial. And the way you do that is by going to audibletrial.com/Solomonster. That's all you got to do. That's it. You sign up, 30-day trial, get yourself a free book. If you're not impressed, cancel the trial before the 30 days are up. They won't bill you and you get to keep the book. Can't get a better deal than that. It's funny though, you know, I mentioned that, and there's quite a few people who actually stick with it because they like, you know, one audio book turns into 2, which turns into 3, 4, 5. Now, a lot of people have used the service, have converted into customers of the service, but if you're looking for a free book on the podcast, there you go. My gift to you. I give you the gift of I don't even know what the book is about, but whatever it's about, I give you the gift of reading. The reading will be done for you. A lot of people like audiobooks, especially people who commute, run a bus ride or a train ride. You know, they don't just listen to podcasts, they listen to audiobooks. It's big business. Dried chicken without flavor. It's coming Rome. It's coming Rome. Is that some kind of soccer thing? So there was a big match with England and Italy the other day. I heard England got their ass kicked. That's too bad. Or not that they got their ass kicked. Like, it was a penalty kicks, right? They lost on a penalty kick or something. Now, mind you, I have no clue about any of that stuff. So I have no idea, you know, how the match ended and how good England was and how good Italy was. But I know it was a heartbreaking loss for England. So I'm thinking about my English fans right now. I know they're very sad. They're very bummed about what happened the other day. As a Mets fan, I can sympathize with heartbreaking losses. I know that pain all too well, so I sympathize. I really do. Chris Quillman, don't worry, Mr. Monster. I got 60 entries and more to come, but I think I screwed myself by calling my shot. You may have just jinxed yourself. You know that. Look at that. Chris Quillman is saying he's not going to let any of you guys win that belt. He's already 60 entries deep. We got a lot more than 60 entries, though. I checked with Wrestle Rumble earlier to find out where we're at. We got a lot of people entering this contest, so you're going to have to do better than that if you want to have a better chance of winning. Let me switch up the music here. You guys like the music? Adds a different vibe, you know? When we do the super chats. Hopefully you feel the same way. I like it. EJ with the $5. In honor of the Olympics this month in Japan, would you rather have AEW sign Okada or the Mets trading for Otani? The two best Japanese athletes. I'd rather have Otani. So there you go. Stephen Chappa, whoa, with the $50 super chat. Hey, let's make it an even 100. I'm not a professor, but I am a teacher. Steven, showing some love on the stream tonight. Teachers, there's a profession right there that they should be getting paid more than they do. Well, at least from the teachers that I know anyway. They should be getting paid a lot more than they do for the work they put in. So, Steven, thank you. That's very cool. Dried chicken without flavor with the $5. It looks like the TNT title has a white strap now to fit Miro's Redeemer character. Yeah, I pointed that out earlier. I like the white strap. Reminds me of the Intercontinental title in WWE before they changed the design again, when they were still rocking the classic one and they had the white strap. I thought it looked great, like when Miz had it and everything. JM also dropping $50 just like Steven did. Keep up the great work, Solomonster. I always appreciate your content, and you're a jam-up guy. That's right. That's right. That's what Bret Hart said about El Dandy. He's just a jam-up guy. He's a great wrestler. That's what he said. Remember that? Who are you to doubt El Dandy? He's a great wrestler. Great technical wrestler. Just like that guy Hypnosis. Bret is just the best. Bret is just the best. And actually, I think we are all caught up. Jay, looks like his $50 bomb. He's going to get the last word here. Jay is you're a jam-up guy yourself. Don't sell yourself short. You're a jam-up guy too. Love it. All right, where is this YouTube poll at? Over 800 votes, 91% up, 9% thumbs down. All right, we'll probably do this each week. We'll put a poll up on Twitter like we usually do. We'll put a poll up here on YouTube for the people who want to vote. We got 800 votes in that one, and the one on Twitter, 1181. So combined, we've got almost 2,000 votes in between all these polls, and a very well-received show here tonight. So I'm glad I'm not the only one who felt that way about tonight's Dynamite show. A very fun show. I wish they could be like that every week. You know, Dynamite on most weeks has a lot of good stuff and has stuff that, frankly, sometimes is not that good. But this week is a week where everything just clicked. I don't know how night 2 of Fyter Fest is going to turn out. I'm looking forward to the Texas Death Match, Moxley and Archer. So that should be good. But night 1 of Fyter Fest, I think, is going to be tough to beat. But it'll be fun seeing if they can do it next week. It'll be fun for us to at least watch and see if they can pull it off. But one of the things that we do, as you guys well know, here on these weekly Dynamite streams is one of the things I rather enjoy. With our friends Infamous HD, who put up this fun little tweet some time ago. And you get to shake it up, randomize it. You pick different wrestlers. They come up completely at random. And whichever 2 names it lands on, that is the WrestleMania main event. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick the first half of the WrestleMania main event. This is me booking. I feel like this is how WWE does some of their booking. WWE might well use Zinfamous HD's tweet to do some of the booking that we see on TV. That would actually explain quite a lot. But let's see if I have better luck. Kenny Omega, the reigning AEW World Champion, comes up first here in the randomizer. And we'll see who Kenny's opponent is going to be in the WrestleMania main event. It'll be Kenny Omega going 1-on-1, taking on William Regal. How about that for a match? Kenny Omega against of course, a healthy William Regal. I would say not Regal, in his current state. But a healthy William Regal against Kenny Omega, I think that'd be a hell of a match. I think that'd be a very good match. I think I did good this week. So there you go. Kenny Omega against William Regal. You might not think it's WrestleMania main event worthy, but I think that would have been a hell of a match. I like that. I agree. Radical Velocity says that would be a fantastic match. I agree. Frost says the promos would be great. Well, the promos from Regal would be great. I don't know that I could say the same for Omega. Omega is very hit or miss on his promos. Omega has a very weird style and delivery sometimes with his promos that I'm not really a fan of, but Regal would kill it. Regal would kill it. Christopher says, I respect you, Solomonster Booker Man. There you go. Compared to some of the other matches I booked here in that segment, I would say I did a pretty good job tonight. Well, listen, guys, this has been a lot of fun. You guys have over-delivered tonight on the support, and it means a lot. Do hit that thumbs up on your way out if you have not already done so. I don't mention it enough, but it does help the videos out when you do. So again, we got a lot of really cool shit coming up in the next week. This weekend is Money in the Bank. Episode 713 of the podcast will drop on Sunday. I might try to get a video up with my Money in the Bank predictions in the next couple of days. If I don't, though, it'll be on the show on Sunday. I'll be live. Come back here Sunday night, Money in the Bank stream. We're going to be picking a winner. Somebody is walking away with that Solomonster replica belt. It could be you. And then next Wednesday, live again for Fyter Fest Night 2, and we will do the contest giving away the 2 tickets to AEW All Out in Chicago. Great seats. So you'll want to tune in for that. Until then, have yourselves a great week. I'm going to go try to get some rest here and do some editing so I can get the audio up for everybody tomorrow. Everybody in the chat who has kept me company tonight and stuck with me and picked me for your Dynamite coverage again, it means the world to me, so thank you. Everybody who super chatted, you guys are fucking awesome. I cannot thank you enough for that. And until next time, I shall bid you farewell. We had a great show tonight. I'm riding high on that. Hopefully Money in the Bank can continue that momentum this weekend, I hope. Let's hope the fans are as energetic this weekend as they were tonight in Texas. They're going to be in Texas this weekend, so we shall see. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Have a great night. Take care.